Welcome back to Lights, Marks and Studios. My name, of course, is Charlotte Way, and we are busy with our Christmas series discussing the importance of Christmas. And very interesting thing that I would like to share with you today is something regarding Christmas. And I know we're talking about the fact, should we celebrate Christmas? Should we not celebrate Christmas as Christians? Where does it come from? We discussed that in the least, at least a short bit rather, last week. So this week we're looking forward to discussing what does it actually mean, Christmas, in the Christian sense. Why do we celebrate Christmas? Now, Christmas is a day that's been chosen. Like we said, it came from Saturnalia, also came from summer solstice, which is actually celebrated today, meaning that we are on our way back, or the sun rather is on its way back in the northern hemisphere. The winter is not almost over, the coldest part of the winter is still coming, but they are making their way back to the warmer areas of the sun. In other words, their proximity to the sun would increase. And it's time that they always celebrated. They celebrated the coming of the sun. And that's why Christians actually said we should start celebrating the coming of the true sun, the S-O-N, not the S-U-N. And they took this festival of lights that was celebrated in Europe and it made it all about Christ. That's why it's called Christmas. Now, I don't know if you know the Afrikaans word. It's called Kersfees, literally from Kerse, candles. So directly translated to English, it would be called Candlefest, Festival of Lights, which was also known as. We should celebrate it for the mere fact that we should celebrate the fact that our God, the God that we serve, became man. It's the only philosophy in the entire world that we can ever see in which God became man. And I want to take my glasses off because I actually want to see, I want you to look into my eyes so that you can see the excitement that I celebrate when I talk about God becoming man. We serve a God that became human for you and me. We serve a God that did not choose the most haughty of expeditions. He did not choose the most luxurious trips. He did not make himself to be royalty in order for us to serve him. And that is one of the precious things of Christmas that you and I should consider. You and I should make part of our entire being on this way to Christmas, on this Advent period. Because Friday, we're actually celebrating Christmas. Friday is the day that we celebrate the birth of Christ. Now, should we celebrate the birth of Christ? And I think that's where the sort of focus comes in. We should not necessarily celebrate the birth of Christ, but rather celebrate the coming of Christ. Because the 25th of December is not the day that Christ was born. Most likely he was born somewhere in September because it was too cold for the shepherds to be out in the field in December in Israel, so they wouldn't have been there. So he was born in September. So we should celebrate the coming of Christ. Now, if you look at the show currently airing on Netflix, it's called The Queen, and that would be a good standard of royalty. What it would mean for someone to be royal, what it would mean for someone to be up there, wherever there is someone to be seen and heard and loved by an entire community. Because obviously the Queen is the monarch of Europe, of Great Britain. People love her. People love to be around her. And the interesting thing is, if I look at that, I tend to see some of Christ in it. I see the fact that people wanted to spend time with Christ. We see the fact that people wanted to be with him. Everywhere in the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we see crowds of people gathering, running towards him when they see him. Exactly the same as in the Queen. Except the difference is that Jesus did not choose this royalty. He did not choose the most luxurious of items. He's not wearing this very posh clothing and having this posh mindset. Instead, he came down to be humbled, to give up everything he had. He was born in a manger, surrounded by cows and sheep and probably lying down on a straw bed. Stuff like that, whereas the Queen always flies in a 737 and she's got a different Boeing following her just with all the items, clothing, everything it travels with. Our God came down, became human, and had nothing. In fact, he actually said foxes have holes, but the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. And that's something that we should celebrate in Christmas. That our God did not stay up there. He did not remain distant. He did not remain inactive. Not that he ever was, but he wasn't inactive. He came down, became human and served men. He touched the untouchables, loved the unlovables, forgave the unforgivables, and welcomed the undesirables. Just so that you and me can be in community with him. And that is something to celebrate this Friday on Christmas. For myself, Charles du Toit, have a very, very blessed Christmas. Looking forward to spending some couple of minutes again with you next week.